Well, three circles, passengers and members, and also the shooters and reloaders out there, and all the sportsmen and sportswomen. It's Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone Express. And today's video we're going to do on a story of a gun, and we haven't done one of those in a while. So what you have here, of course, is a Russian Model 1891/30 Mosin Nagant rifle in 7.62 by 54R caliber. And a lot of you have these because millions of them come into the country, and it turned out that Russia produced something like 17 million of these. So it's hard to get these right now because they're not being imported anymore, except very rarely. And turns out that in the late 1990s, the importation of these really slowed down because of sanctions being put on Russia. And those sanctions are going on today, of course. At any rate, back in the year 2012, turned out that Big Five was able to get some Mosin Nagants, and this is perhaps the last time they were ever going to go ahead and be able to get these, because back in the 1980s and 1990s, Big Five was actually bringing lots of these in, along with other mil-serp rifles. And I don't know if any of you out there remember, but it was like every week Big Five was running a sale promotion on mil-serp rifles. One week it would be the Mosin Nagant, and another week it would be the British Lee Enfield, and another week it would be the Swiss K31 in 7.5 by 55 Swiss caliber. And we didn't get those rifles because the ammo wasn't easy to get. But I wish I did get those rifles then. I did get one of the Lee Enfields in 303 caliber, but should have got more Mosins and more of those K31s at that time when they were plentiful. But it was like Big Five was running those sales so often that you could always get them later, right? But later turned out to be no more chance. Anyway, in the year 2012, the Mosins came in a shipment with Big Five, and it was like they were running this sale for Black Friday. And you just knew that they didn't have a whole lot of these. So there's a window to get one of these at that time, and so a lot of people got up real early in the morning. So at 4:30 in the morning, I actually showed up at this Big Five, and I was the fifth one in line at the door. It's kind of shocking at that early an hour that you'd be number 5 in line, but I felt pretty good that Big Five had at least 5 of these. Probably had more, maybe a dozen per store. So by the time the store opened, the line was long. And of course we were chatting out there amongst each other as we were waiting in line. Turns out that everybody was in line for the Mosin Nagant Model 91/30, hoping to be able to get a hold of one of these. So as soon as the door opened and the store opened up, we all went straight to the gun counter and made a line there. Well, the young man that was right in front of me, number 4 in line, when it was his turn to get one of these, they had a problem, because it turns out that he was just out of the military. I think it was the US Navy. Just got out of the Navy, and he didn't have his ID straightened out yet, but he had his military card, his military ID. And he wanted one of these Model 91 Mosins, and they wouldn't sell it to him because they couldn't accept his military ID. and he didn't have his driver's license yet. So he was very disappointed that he couldn't get one of these, and I felt bad for him, but there's nothing any of us could do about it. But my turn came up, and no problem, got the rifle, but he had to leave very, very disappointed. And so that was the story of the gun there. Was able to get this Model 91, and the amazing thing is it was in very good condition. I had to clean all the cosmoline off of it, but the metal work looks new, and the wood has got a nice finish on it. Turns out that these rifles were factory refurbished. This happens to be a Model 19. It was a 1942 stamp on this, so they made this during the Second World War, and no doubt it did show some service. It went into action probably. And when we got this rifle, it included the bayonet. Let me show you the bayonet. So it came with the bayonet and an oiler, and also a leather pouch for ammo, and it had a headspace tool and all of those kind of things. So it's a pretty good deal actually. The cost back in the year 2012 was $149 for this rifle, and that's of course in 2012 dollars. But there were a lot of people that wanted to get the Mosin at that time. Well, I'll give you a good look at that Mosin. And I really like the rifle. It shoots decently. And here's a good look at the ammo that's actually World War II ammo. And they issued the ammo to the troops in these little paper cartons that actually fit perfectly in those little leather ammo holders that we got one. But can't show you that because it's up in Washington State. And there's that bayonet. Now there's no lug needed for this bayonet because it slips over the front sight, and then you rotate it over and it locks onto the front side post, and it's tight enough in the back here that there's no rattle or wobble with this bayonet when it's installed. Quite a simple and effective design actually. And this is the screwdriver type. That's the kind of a plunger type of bayonet design. Give you a look at those rounds from World War II, and you see that the round is equal in power to the .308 Winchester, and the case is heavily tapered. It's got a very robust rim. Now this was developed by the Russians in the year 1891, and during that time they were transitioning from black powder to smokeless, and that explains the rim. But also they went to a smaller caliber for the smokeless, but they kept a heavy 212 grain bullet because again that's leftover thinking from black powder that used heavy bullets. At any rate, the round was so successful that, and with the smokeless it was so successful that they went to a lighter bullet, 150 grain bullet, in the year 1908 or 1909, in that time period. And some would say that it was a 148 grain bullet, but whether it's 148 or 150, the 2 grains is not really that important. The thing was they went to a lighter bullet at that time, and that 150 grain bullet was carried on from that point. And this round served in both world wars for the Soviet Union. Also, it served during the Russian Revolution. And before the Russian Revolution, Russia actually came over to the United States and had contracts with Westinghouse and was it Remington to build Mosin Nagant rifles for the Russian military. And when the Russian Revolution happened, all those contracts were canceled. But by then, we had produced 1.5 million rifles for the Russians because they didn't really have their industrial capacity built up at that time. So they were going to foreign countries like SIG and others to build their Mosin Nagant rifles for them. And what happened with the cancellation of the orders from the Russian Revolution, a lot of those Mosin Nagants made by US companies actually were sold to civilians. So if you have one of those rifles, they're very desirable today. Well, part of the reason I'm doing this story of the gun is because we're going to be reloading for this Mosin Nagant rifle very soon, and I got a hold of some of this Privy Partisan 7.62 by 54R brass. So brass was in short supply for quite a while, but it's starting to show up again, and Privy Partisan, which is in Serbia, makes this brass, and it's available at Midway USA. So I went ahead and latched onto 100 rounds of it, and it's a lot better than buying the Lapua, which is about 3 times more expensive. So when I saw this Privy Partisan brass, I had to go ahead and jump on it. Now, the country of Serbia, the capital is actually, but anyway, got the brass. And I have the dies. We have the Lee collet neck sizing die for the 7.6254, and I got these nice bullets from Midway USA. They're actually seconds, and I suspect that they are actually Sierra blems for their Match King 174 grain bullet. That's a hollow point and boat tail. Now these bullets they might be seconds, but they're Sierra Match Kings. They sure look like they're Sierra Match Kings. And got them for a good price, and I can't see any second to them. They must have some blemishes on them somewhere. I've already used it for loading the 303 British, but now we're going to go ahead and load these bullets in the 7.62 by 54R Russian round. Should be very interesting to do that. And so there you go, story of the gun. Now we won't be able to show the reloading on YouTube because they really don't like reloading videos. We're gonna be running the reloading video on Rumble, so I hope you'll go over to Rumble and see that video when I get it up. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you remember being able to buy surplus ammo for the Mosin. The surplus ammo was made during the Second World War, shortly after, or even after that during the Cold War, and it was all readily available, and you could buy it in cases that are in crates. Remember getting the crates of ammo and being able to actually buy the ammo already in stripper clips like you see here, like you see there. What a great deal that was. Now, just a short word of caution, and that is, if any of you were able to get these in stripper clips, the ammo already in stripper clips, watch out, because it readily rusts. As you see some little spots of rust. So a good coating of mineral oil is called for here to stop that from happening. So this is the story of the gun. Getting up at 4 in the morning to make it over to Big 5 was worth it back in the year 2012. Bye for now.